Alright, in the last section we have installed the AndroGuard framework, and now we are going to finally use the call graph. We create our first call graph for a challenge I have prepared for you. So are you ready? Let's go! In this section I have attached a reverse me application, and this is more like a demo application than a capture deflect, but yeah, we use this to illustrate this call graph function. Please download this file and then we are going to install it and see how it looks like. I've already downloaded it over here, and I copy paste this into our apps directory because we want to have our system in a clean state. We name this reverse me challenge. And then I'm open a new terminal. I do an ADB connection to our virtual machine, and I'm going to install this. And this is a nice error we get right now. So within the cheat sheet, I also provided you tons of ADB errors I faced during my last 7 years, and also the solution for this one. I've created a debug version out of this, and we can see this is a test-only installation. And we can use ADB install or the help of ADB install to figure out how we can solve this. So we use ADB install --help, or I guess it's only ADB --help. And let's see, within the installation process over here, yes, we can see in this parameter, allow the installation of test packages. And if we provide this one, we can install this application. So we run ADB install -t reverse me APK, and then we can see success, it's working. Let's get the screen content over here that we do not have to switch between them. I swipe this up, and here we have our reverse me application. I'm going to open this, and here we can see, yes, it's not looking that nice because it's more like a demo application. The other challenges are more in a nicer visual state. But it's pretty simple. We have to provide a password and hit the button. And then we can see, okay, the password wasn't correct. So let's try let me in. Also not working. Let me in, please. I did say please. Okay, we have seen we are not going to solve this challenge in this way. Therefore, let's have a look into the source code. We close this one and we use JDX GUI. Okay, we can see it's loading over here, and now we've got this application. And the first thing I like to do is I like to check the manifest XML over here. Let me make this a little bit larger. All right. Here we've got the Android manifest XML, and we can see this application doesn't require any certain permissions. We also got only one activity, this main activity, and this is our launcher. So we do not have additional activities. And this is pretty simple and clean. Therefore, let's have a look into the main activity, which is available in COM app hacking reverse me main activity. Okay, here we are now at the main activity, and if you are not familiar with the Android development, absolutely no problem, I guide you through this. You do not need to be an Android developer for absolving this course right now, but it is a little bit helpful if you understand the structure about this. We have seen this button, and if we press this button, our input text, the text we have inserted in this application, gets checked. And this one is over here. How do we know that this one is now the button? Well, we have to take a look into the Android layout of this. So this activity gets a layout file, and this layout file describes how these buttons are organized, where this input text is, and all this stuff. We can find this within the resources. So we go into resources, layout, and then we have this activity main layout over here. I'm going to copy paste this into a new code editor because this is not easy to read over here. So we create a new one. We insert this, and we also toggle the word wrap. Okay, now we've got the single elements over here. Let me expand them. We've got an edit text, which is our text field. We are going to insert our flag guess. Then we've got this button. It's obviously what this button is. We've got a text view. This might be displaying this text, wrong flag. And we've got an image view, which is the log of this icon. If we go into the button over here, we can see this button has an on-click attribute, and this one has this method name over here. So now we know if you press this button, this check method gets called. And if we go back, into the main activity, we can see, all right, this is the method that gets called if we hit the button. And this method takes now our input text and pass it to this function over here, to this class function, onMoveOn. Let's have a look at one. Here we are now at one, and onMoveOn gets a string as parameter, and it checks if the string contains becoming. Okay, that's a first spoiler, but I'm not going to go deeper into this if you want to solve this afterwards. But it's regarding to a demo purpose, so it's not a real challenge approach. However, all right, if this text contains becoming, then we go into toMoveOn. So within toMoveOn, we've got another method, and then we go into 3moveOn and so on. Within onMoveOn, we also have our flag over here. So we can see this is the flag method. And this flag method now is going to be called somewhere in all these functions. It's not going to be called over here. So some function over here is referencing to this method. And this is the most important part if you want to solve this challenge. Which function is referencing this and how can we get to this point? And therefore, you guessed it, we are using this call graph. Alrighty. So I'm going to close this one, also going to close this one, also going to clear this one. And now finally we create our first call graph. So we use androguard --help. Here we have the call graph, this Cg parameter. So we say androguard Cg --help. And now we've got the options. Creating a call graph is super simple. So we only have to run androguard call graph, and then we use the out option over here to create this output file. And this output file has this GML extension. And we use a tool named Gephi, or yeah, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. I'm going to show you the installation process, so don't worry about this, to visualize this call graph afterwards. And that's all we need to do. We can also filter on certain class methods, method names, if this is a huge application and we are only interested in one, but I'm going to show you how this looks for an application like this. Because yeah, then you also see how you can handle larger files later on. And so let's create this call graph. We run androguard callgraph and then the -o option, and we name this file callgraph.gml. I guess this would be also the default name. And the last parameter is the APK, reverse me APK. Okay, now androguard is going to create this call graph in this file format. Okay, and here we are getting now our first error. Isn't this nice? It absolutely is, but we can fix this easily. The reason for this error is that the call graph function is relying on an older network library, network X library, and androguard comes with network X 2.2. So we can find this within the requirements of the GitHub repository. I'm going to show you this real quick. Androguard GitHub. Here we have the requirements, and here we can see androguard, this package name did install 2.2. To use the call graph menu, we have to downgrade this library version to 1.11. I'm not sure why this is not default the case for this program. Maybe it's a bugging issue, I don't know. We can fix this, and yeah, this is also pretty simple, just one command. Therefore, we run this command pip3 install network X, and then we can provide with 2 equals the exact version we want to install for this library. And in our case, it's 1.11. And now pip is uninstalling the existing version and also installing the older version, which we can see over here. Now let's try to run this command once again. And we can see, yes, it's finally working. All right. Nice. Now we've got this file, callgraph.gml. Let's take a look into this. Okay, here we have now the graph.gml, and I want to provide you some information about this because you cannot read this, of course. We haven't talked about the Smiley part over here yet. I just want to provide you some hints on how you can do this without understanding Smiley. The first one, this big L, is always the first letter over here. And this is a type definition in Smiley. This means afterwards there will be a class. And here we can see, for example, this one is the Android support v4 app iNotification side channel. So this is the class name that is going to be referenced. Don't worry, you do not have to understand this. The most important part regarding to the call graph is this one then over here. After this class name, there's this arrow, and now we've got this function name. So after this arrow, there's always this function name over here. And we can later on navigate or recognize our function calls by this name after this arrow. We do not have to understand what's here or maybe in front of this. So we just focus on this arrow and then the name afterwards, because this is the method name that is going to be called there. All right. Now to view this file, we need to install a tool, and this is also mentioned on the AndroGuard documentation. So AndroGuard Callgraph. And here we can see, to visualize this call graph, we use this Gephi tool over here. So we're going to download this one, download this for Linux, and now it's going to be downloaded. While this is downloading, I want to show you some nice pictures over here. So here we can see a call graph of an application, and every single dot is a function name. And you might think, well, is this more easy to handle? And I can tell you yes, because here are now all functions included, but we only focus on a certain function and we will filter them out over here. All right, I'm going to close this one. And now we are going to run or install Gephi. I copy paste this and we go into the tools directory in Gephi. I'm also not sure about the correct pronunciation. It's probably the case that this one is wrong, but I stick to it. Extract over here. And yes, I hate when things like this happen. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and then delete this one over here. Okay, so now we've got this Gephi directory, and here we have this bin. And we can directly start this one. If you're using a Windows, you also have a Windows executable over here. Let's start this tool. It's loading, and nice, we get our second error. Great. This time it's regarding to the Java version. So Gephi is relying on an older Java version. In my case, I'm using Java 11, but Gephi only works on Java 8. Therefore, we have to install Java 8 right now. The nice thing about handling Java on a Linux system is you can have multiple instances and switch between them easily. But you need to take care that the other tools are also going to rely on the new updated version. So J80X, for example, might not work on Java 8. Therefore, you have to figure this out and then switch back for the certain type. All right, now let's install Java 8. Therefore, we run sudo apt-get install open JDK, 8, and then the JDK. I will come back when this installation process